Welcome to this episode of Jack Talk. I'm Laura Sadler, and we have a lot to discuss about what's going on in your Nacogdoches community and right here on your SFA campus. This past weekend was an exciting weekend for SFA as they announced Craig Wright and Christina Wyatt as Mr. and Miss SFA. Our field reporter, Robbie Hale, spoke with Director of Orientation Programs, Brooke Rodine, to see what she had to say about the two and what makes them great representatives of SFA.
This past weekend, Craig Wright and Christina Wyatt were formally announced as Mr. and Miss SFA at halftime of the men's basketball game. Brooke Rodine talked about the qualifications considered in selecting the ultimate student representative of SFA.
Mr. and Miss SFA have to be the best representative that we can find for the university. So we want them to be good students academically, involved on campus in a variety of things. They've got to have great communication skills to be able to be that representative of the university. We want them to have given back to the campus as well as Nacogdoches since it supports us. So there's a wide variety of characteristics that we look for.
Rodine spoke more on the character of Christina and Craig.
Craig is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet, and that comes off right as soon as you meet him. Very well spoken, very confident, but humble at the same time. He's been involved in a lot of things across campus, so he can speak to a lot of parts of the student experience on that end. Christina is very mature. She's very polished and, again, has great communication skills, has been involved in a lot, and they both just bring a certain maturity and pride for SFA.
Reporting for Jack Talk, I'm Robbie Hale.
And welcome back to the studio. And now I'm here with Mr. SFA, Craig Wright, and Miss SFA, Christina Wyatt, and my co-host, Will Hackney. How are you guys doing today?
I'm good today.
And as we saw in our package, you guys were announced at the basketball game, as Mr. and Miss SFA. Just explain how that was.
Oh, it was the coolest thing ever. You can't even explain it, just having everyone cheer for you and just how much respect we get with SFA.
Christina?
It was definitely a surreal moment. It was just kind of going out there. I mean, I've been on the court for other reasons, but just that honor, it was awesome, and I'm glad I got to share it with Craig.
Yeah, and just being Mr. and Mrs. SFA, what does that mean to you guys?
Let me go first. Well, for me, I'm a graduate of 2011, May 2011, but I'm actually graduating grad school again from SFA this spring, so it's just like a great way to end off my SFA career. It meant so much to me that I was able to get this honor my last semester here, and now we're life members for the Alumni Association. That's one of the things we got, so it was a great moment for me to end my time here at SFA.
That's awesome. What's the process it took to be nominated for Mr. and Miss SFA?
Well, we had to have 3 people to speak on our behalf about what we've done here at SFA and how much we've contributed here. We also had a pretty intense application process along with interviews from the selection committee. Craig, tie in?
Along with the interviews from the selection committee, we had to turn in the letters of recommendation with our application. The Alumni Association then went through and they had a group that selected from the applications and narrowed it down to the selection committee, and then we had to go into the interviews, as Christina said, and then the next day we got the call.
Wow.
So that's a pretty long, hefty process, and you guys have to be nominated for this type of an award? Okay, and then you guys are very involved on campus. I spoke to Brooke and some other people about you guys. So just, Craig, what are some of the things that you're involved here on campus?
Oh, man. I was a Jack Camp counselor and a Jack Camp student director. I'm the president of Traditions Council. I'm a member of Sigma Nu Fraternity. I'm the head guard at the rec center as well as a fitness assistant at the rec center. I was a member of the horticulture club. I was an orientation leader in the summer of 2010, and I think that's it.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
That's all? That's it? Okay, yeah, I feel a lot better about
me.
myself.
Yeah.
What about you, Christina?
Okay, I'm going to try my best to remember. I'm trying to think when I first started out here. I was a Welcome Jack when I first started at SFA. I was in Freshman Leadership Academy, Campus Community Leaders of Tomorrow. I did Jack Camp for 3 years. I was a counselor for 3 years. I was an orientation leader as well for 2010, the summer of 2010. I worked at the rec since I was a sophomore. Yeah. So I taught group exercise classes, and now I'm a graduate assistant for fitness and wellness. I'm a historian of Omicron Delta Kappa Leadership Honor Society right now, and I'm also currently a member of Driving Jacks.
How do you even have time for all that? Like
Yeah, exactly.
I don't
How do you
even have
guys
time to, like,
balance
watch
all
Netflix.
that
I mean,
in school life? That's just insane.
I ask myself that a lot.
Time
Well,
management.
when you started your college career, what were you planning to get out of it? Did you ever think that you would be Mr. and Miss SFA? Was that part of your plan?
Not at all. I didn't even know that I wanted to come to SFA until kind of the last minute. And then when I came and visited, I was like, okay, I'll come here because I like the campus more than any of the other campuses I visited.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of like I didn't really care to even come here. And then I went to Jack Camp and just fell in love with all the school spirit that there was. And then from there, it just kind of exploded with SFA spirit.
What about you, Christina? Was this something that you saw in your future here at SFA?
No, and someone asked me the same kind of question about coming in SFA. I was actually really shy in high school. I played sports, but other than that, I really wasn't as extroverted. So coming into Jack Camp, as Craig, I have a similar story. Jack Camp just got me excited about SFA, the pride, the traditions here, and I was like, I want to be a Jack Camp counselor. So that's kind of how I blossomed as a leader and kind of fostered the rest of my time here was Jack Camp and becoming a counselor.
Well, you guys are very involved. And in our package earlier, we saw Brooke. She said a lot of very nice things about these two. What was y'all's relationship with Brooke? How did you guys meet her?
Well, Brooke is the director of orientation now. When I was an orientation leader, she was actually the assistant director of orientation. So I worked under Brooke, and since then, it's been 2 or 3 years now, but since then I'm able to go up there at any point and ask her questions. She's a really friendly, helpful person. She's going to help us with whatever we need help with.
Actually, Brooke came in when I was the orientation leader, so I was there for her first day. So
really?
She got into the assistant director position when I was a prospective orientation leader. So I've been here and with her since her first days at SFA. So Brooke has always been a good resource. Even though I was only an orientation leader for 1 year, we've always had a good relationship. Campus Rec gets involved with student affairs a lot of times, and we'll mingle and mix a lot from different events and activities. So I always had a good relationship with Brooke.
Well, you guys have just been, obviously very powerful leaders here on campus, and I just appreciate both of you guys representing SFA really well. And just thank you both for coming in. After this segment, we have Brianna Garlow, who's going to talk about a serious issue that's going down here in the Nacogdoches community. So stay tuned.
Welcome back to Jack Talk. I'm Brianna Garlow. Child abuse is something serious that is happening right here in our community. For many children in Nacogdoches County, they experience neglect, and unfortunately, they never know the true meaning of family. In this segment, the executive director of CASA, Rebecca Carrollton, will speak with us more about this topic after this public service announcement.
Every 8 minutes, a child in Texas is a victim of abuse or neglect. CASA, Court-Appointed Special Advocates of Deep East Texas, is one of many branches that train and supervise volunteers to speak in court on behalf of children. Volunteer your time through fundraisers and community events for the case of saving a child's future.
Welcome back to the studio. First off, I would like to thank Mrs. Carrollton for coming and joining us today out of your busy schedule. The first question I would like to go ahead and ask you, what is CASA specifically?
CASA stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocates, and it is a nonprofit organization that it's a national organization, and there's a state organization, and we are 69 local programs in Texas. We train volunteers who become guardian ad litem and speak in court for children who are in foster care.
And how long has this program been available in the Nacogdoches County?
It was started in 2006.
Okay, so you guys have been going on for about 7 years now.
Yes.
And as the executive director, what are some of your responsibilities at CASA?
I am responsible for the overall maintenance of the program, for securing funding, for doing things like this public outreach, and for managing staff and helping to train staff and volunteers.
Okay. You did say that they had to take an oath. Is that something like a MD would, or a medical doctor would, or explain that for us?
It is actually, they become officers of the court. With our program, they become guardians ad litem, and that means that they go to court and a judge swears them in as officers of the court.
Okay.
And I'm sure you guys, handle a lot of these cases and stuff. How emotionally invested do you get in these cases? Do you have to kind of try to keep a guard up because you can't let it get to you too emotionally, but I'm sure it's sometimes difficult.
It can be really difficult with some of the cases when things come up with kids, and there are sometimes when you have sleepless nights, and some of the cases go really well and it's not such an emotional thing, but it can be very, very emotional, and we have support systems in place for our volunteers and staff members to try to deal with that.
Oh, that's great.
So do they specifically do it like a case by case, or are they able to see the child that they're fighting for in the court?
They are responsible to see the child. Once they're appointed to the case, part of their responsibility is to visit the child in their foster placement, and it depends on where they're placed. If they're in the county, it's once a month, at least once a month, face-to-face, and it's not as often if they're placed outside of the county, but they are supposed to see them in their foster home and make sure, or their relative placement, and make sure, speak to the child by themselves and make sure that they can go back to court and tell the judge, I've spoken to the child. They fill out a report if they're old enough. We take a picture of them. We ask them what they wish for, whether it's to return home or whatever, and then all of that goes back to the court. And the reason that it's got such an impact is everyone else in the courtroom, I'm a counselor, and when I would go to court in the past and speak for my clients, I had a contract with somebody. I was being paid to be there. Our volunteers are not being paid to be there. They're the only one in the courthouse that is not paid to be there, and they just know that one child or that one sibling group. As a counselor or a caseworker, they have many cases, and so it's just a lot more precise information coming from someone who has no reason to be there except for that they care about the child.
So this is a joint effort with CASA, Family Protective Services, and other juvenile, departments as well in the state, or?
We have a memorandum of understanding that we have to sign on an annual basis between our courts, our judges, with Child Protective Services, and with CASA.
Okay, wow.
Okay, and just to get a clear definition of, what exactly would you consider child abuse? What are the signs that you guys usually try to look for when you think that, this child might be in danger?
We are not the ones that remove children, so we are watching for that when we go and visit them in foster homes, but if you see a child that is withdrawn, that has bruises, that is not doing well in school, that seems depressed, there's a lot of different signs that you can watch for, if they're bedwetting, many different things, but it's Child Protective Services that actually does the investigation when the child is with their family. They're the ones that go out and they look to see how the child is doing. They're the ones that take custody of the child, and then we become appointed at that time.
Okay.
Well, just from visiting your website, a statistic that I read, you said that on the website there's a deep East Texas area. It stated approximately 800 children are allegedly abused in Nacogdoches County alone. So how serious is this problem in this county?
It's very serious. And to remove a child, to take a child from their family is a really serious thing, and the standard that Child Protective Services have to meet to be able to remove a child is really high. So when children actually end up in the foster care system, things have probably gotten pretty bad. There has to be a threat of death to the child or a really long history of abuse, and we have that going on here in Nacogdoches. We have probably about 180 children from Nacogdoches County who are actually in foster care.
That's crazy. That's not something that you typically hear about in our community. But with that, what Texas laws do we have in place, or what laws do we have in Nacogdoches that can help protect these children or, guide them into better home lives?
There are laws against child abuse. Teachers and anyone who interacts with a child, medical professionals, are what are called mandatory reporters. So if a teacher or anyone who's interacting with a child suspects abuse or neglect, they are bound to report it to the child abuse hotline. So that's just one law that's in effect across the nation that helps to help children.
And then did we see a big change in the child abuse laws after the whole Sandusky trial thing? I know that I worked at a camp, and we had to go through another type of child abuse type training to, look out for the things like that. And have you noticed that there was like major rule changes or laws taking place, changing because of the whole Sandusky trial?
I haven't noticed a lot of that. We mostly are dealing with changes in legislation affecting foster care, the foster care system, and CASA's ability to affect it.
Okay. So without this program in the community to help foster children, what would this community be like? I mean, since 2006, before that date that you guys were established, what was the community? What was it like?
It was difficult. I was in the middle of it, and I was a counselor. I would visit with children. I would gain their trust, and if they had to enter the foster care system, they ended up with no voice. The volunteer is their voice. They're the one that goes in. Children really don't get listened to in our society in the first place, the kids. But foster kids, it's worse for them. So it was a really difficult situation beforehand. It's much better now. I mean, we have a really good Child Protective Service department in Nacogdoches County, so that helps. But when you have services that are difficult to obtain, including foster homes, to have an unbiased voice go into the home and ask the child, how are you doing? And the child, trust them, and that person be able to go directly to the judge and to the child's attorney and inform them of what's going on makes a really powerful difference in the system.
When I heard that you were going to approve that you were going to come speak with us today, I did speak with someone that already went through the system, and they said that you guys did an excellent job being a voice for them, and they really appreciate that. So I wanted to go ahead and relay that message for that anonymous viewer that said that you did an excellent job being that voice, and now she is 22 years old and thriving and dealing with those things that happened with her in her childhood. So I'd like to thank you for coming on the show today and really speaking about some serious issues that are going on. Well, thank you so much. And upcoming next, we got some things talking about online dating with students' opinion that matter.
Hey guys, welcome back to Jack Talk. I'm Will Hackney. So if you're like anyone else living in the year 2013, you've probably had some sort of interaction with a computer. If not, then congratulations on resisting societal pressure. For most of us though, especially our age group, we are pretty connected to others through Facebook, Foursquare, MySpace, other, social networks. It's kind of become a daily part of our lives to update our statuses, share photos on the internet, etc., which can all lead to meeting people online, creepy people mostly, that you've never actually seen in real life. It can be dangerous, but not always. So I went out on campus, actually, to see if any students have ever met anyone online and to see what their opinions on it are. So check it out.
Or trying to start a conversation. I mean, I have a boyfriend. I met one guy up in Fort Worth, where I'm from, and he was really nice, but we didn't really click, so I never saw him again. Free meals are cool, though.
Because, we Skyped and stuff, but I never met him in real life, and I was never going to, so...
I'm not... if I see messages like that, I don't respond to them.
I've been on darker parts of the internet, so I know how that works. It's the internet. You can be whoever you want to be, and that's just how it is for those situations.
Because you hear about different stuff happening every day to people all over, and they got movies.
And my best friend Ray, he was like, you know what's the worst that could happen? I'm like, I could end up in a ditch dead, but you're right.
Maybe if it was a closer distance, I'd be okay with it.
Oh no, I don't recommend it. I don't support it.
Okay, so as you can see, there were a lot of differing opinions on online dating. So what do you guys think about all that?
I don't know. I think it's pretty risky. You never know what someone else is lying or telling the truth about. But, I personally, I'm truthful online, but I don't know so much about dating online and meeting people online, especially, or, you can talk online, I guess. There's no harm in that. But when it comes to, actually meeting up somewhere in public, that might be a little unsafe. I guess that's just my opinion on it.
I think there's a difference between, I don't know, meeting somebody brand new online, whereas Facebook and talking to people that you actually know outside of your computer and your bag of Cheetos, and you can, go to the movies and continue to be social.
True. But I'm pretty private, so I don't like the idea of somebody approaching me online.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of a creeper
Yeah.
status.
Yeah, it's
I
very.
don't like that.
Have y'all ever met anyone online that y'all like had kind of just an online relationship? Not like relationship, romantic maybe, but just people you've met online that you've talked to?
Well, I've met somebody online, but it was somebody that I knew of, I guess, but I never met formally in person. So, which still turned out to be bad because he was kind of crazy. So, I don't really like the whole idea, I guess, since I've had that one experience and it wasn't too delightful. So, it's not for me at all.
What about you, Lonnie?
I don't know if you're familiar with the TV show Catfish, but
Yes.
I've had an experience like that where this is when I was a younger college student. And, this girl, she was trying to talk to me online, and I gave her my number, and we texted a little bit. She had really pretty pictures and stuff. Even though I'm apprehensive about meeting anybody online or whatever, I did it. And we were chatting, and she wanted me to send her a picture of her. I mean, a picture of myself. And I wasn't going to do that. So I had her send me a picture of her.
So she can do it for you, but you're not for her. Okay,
Yeah, that's how the game works. So she sent me her picture, and the picture didn't, what was in the picture didn't match the pictures that were online at all. And then I just completely confronted her on it, and I was like, that ain't you. Just saying a bunch of stuff. And
what did she have to say about that?
You're lying. You're just, I don't know, kind of evasive, just trying to back out of it. Like, she knew she was caught. And that's how that lovely relationship ended.
I haven't met, dating-wise, anyone online. But you always kind of have those creepers in your past that somehow find you on Facebook, and they kind of just do that.
Like your
oh,
pictures.
hey, how are you doing? Oh, here's my number. Let's catch up. And it's like, I haven't talked to you in like 10 years, but that's kind of weird that you remember me all of a sudden. And
I actually have a pretty embarrassing story.
Do tell.
When I was in 7th grade, my friend told me that he had Hillary Duff's AIM screen name.
Oh, AIM.
Yeah, the original Catfish Pond. And
Yep.
I added her, and we talked for years, and I thought it was Hillary Duff until I was like a junior in high school, and that's so embarrassing. I've actually never told that.
Until you were a junior in high school.
Yeah.
That's very bold of you to come out.
Yeah, I used to call her Hilly Billy, and she would call me Wilbur.
Oh,
wow, this
Wilbur.
is, yeah.
Yes.
So it's not Hillary Duff, obviously, just probably a creepy old guy, or probably my friend who gave it to me.
You wouldn't expect people to lie about their age,
Yeah.
sex, location, man.
Yeah, I know, ASL. You've always
ASL.
got to ask. But have y'all ever pretended to be someone else, or have you exaggerated something about yourself?
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
Yeah, me either.
I mean, I think
Bad panel for that question. No.
I mean, I'm not really sure. I feel bad, people who feel like they have to lie about who they are, just either online or in person. That's just sad if they don't have like the confidence in themselves to be, this is who I am, meet me for who I
Accept
am.
me.
Yeah, so I kind of feel bad for people that feel like they have to do that. But no, I have never done that.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see why people would, though, because, I mean, if you're not, if you don't like yourself in real life, you kind of want to make a different you online, and I think it's all like a psychological disorder,
But I feel like with technology today, if you want to reinvent yourself, you can. Like, just do it all the way. You don't have to pretend to be somebody else on
Like Botox
social
or
media.
something?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many other ways to reinvent yourself. Just do the whole life. Just make it a life change.
Yeah.
But see, with
Don't
that, that's
lie
an
to somebody.
expensive way to go about it. So if you have the money, maybe that's what people do, and people do that.
True.
Try to transform themselves if they're financially stable enough to do that. But online is free.
Yeah.
You can be whoever you want. So
Online's-
you don't have to pay anything to be some person that you've always wanted to be online.
Online plastic surgery does seem like the better
The online
financial option.
makeover.
Yes,
Exactly.
it is cheaper.
Would y'all say, for you two, would you say it scares you more as girls to get messages from people you don't know?
I feel like it's easier for girls to have that problem. Like somebody to message you out the blue is kind of common. So I feel like, but I know as myself, I'm very cautious. Like I have, like on my Facebook, I literally have a list of people pending friends because I'm not into the whole not knowing you thing.
Yeah, on my Facebook, I try to, kind of be private, not give all my information out, of like, where I live, where I'm at right now, birthdays, just to be super cautious because it does kind of worry me. You never know what the person on the other side of the screen, like, knows and can work out and figure out about yourself. And so I do try to be cautious with that. And yeah, if I get hit on by guys on Facebook, guys, stop using Facebook as a crutch to get women. I am sick of that. So just, be a man. That's what a woman appreciates. And don't use Facebook or online as a crutch.
Right.
This is true. Very true.
What would y'all ever do if you did get catfished? Like, how do you think you would feel?
On the MTV show Catfish, you see them, and, when they end up lying, they're, some of them are really devastated. So that is really risky. I don't know. I'm kind of just into meeting them in person. Because then I would know I wouldn't, like, have my heart set on something and get my hopes up. So
if we were on MTV and I got catfished, I would make fun of the person and destroy their already low self-esteem.
No.
All right, well, that's actually all the time we have for this segment, but thanks, guys, for the great discussion about online creepers. But join us next time on Jack Talk to get all the latest news about the community and the school. So, later, guys.